know there is a connection between the barcodes present in the products what you get from the supermarket and the chromosome present inside your body? Yes, have you ever wondered why scientists never mix up the different types of chromosomes? Yes, because they have a unique identification mark that is known as chromosome banding. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Genius Minds. In today's video, we are going to learn about the chromosome banding pattern which makes them unique and makes us easy to identify them. How are we going to define chromosome banding pattern? It is studying about the chromosome, about its number and also its structure with the help of some dyes, and then you are going to visualize it under the microscope. So you are just going to take the chromosomes, add some dyes and visualize it under the microscope. Why are we doing this? So just in case if you are looking for any chromosomal abnormalities, so this is the right way how you can identify the difference between the healthy chromosome as well as the defected one. Now, what type of cells are we going to use? So mostly the cells which are known as a metaphase cells. So metaphase is a type of a phase present in the mitosis. So there are different phases like prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. So mostly the metaphase cell stage are used in this chromosome banding pattern. So whenever the cells are in the metaphase stage, they are arrested by adding a chemical which is known as colchicine. As soon as you are adding this chemical, so it results in the spindle fiber which has to be formed, it just gets stopped over there and the cell stage is arrested in metaphase. So and then you are going to take up these cells for your identification process. Now when we talk about this chromosome banding pattern, based upon the type of stain what we are using, they are categorized into different category. So first we are going to take the stain which is known as Giemsa stain. So based upon the staining property of Giemsa stain, the bandings are categorized as G banding which is known as Giemsa banding, R banding which is known as reverse banding, C banding which is known as centromeric banding, and T banding which is known as telomeric banding. So in some or the other way we are going to treat our chromosomes and we are going to make use of this Giemsa stain and we are going to see the chromosome bands and differentiate them how they appear. So now there is one principal reaction which takes place in this case. So let's see what happens in this principal reaction. So as you know, the Giemsa is a dye. It is a kind of stain which is going to color your chromosome and help you in identifying the bands pattern. So it is considered as a visible light dye, and the property of visible light dyes are they are stable in nature and they gives you very clear appearance of bands. So the final picture is going to be in the form of light bands and the darker bands. So which region is taking up the light band and which region is taking up the darker color band, we are going to see, and why it is taken. And the most important property of this Giemsa is that it binds to DNA through the intercalation process. Means what? Suppose if this is a DNA, so if this is a Giemsa stain, it just comes into it and just intercalate between the DNA molecule, intercalating, and results in the coloration of the chromosome. Now based upon this and also very important point, this Giemsa stain, it contains both the cationic species as well as the anionic species. So thiazine is a compound which gives the cationic charge, that is the positively charged to this stain, as well as when we talk about the anionic one, eosin is the stain which provides a negative charge. So now what is happening? The principle behind this thing. So what happened? The thiazine molecules are very small molecules, okay. So around 2 molecules, since they are positively charged, so they have affinity towards a negatively charged DNA molecule. So they immediately go and bind to that negatively charged DNA molecule and stain it blue. Okay, so as soon as this cationic species, the positively charged molecule binds to the DNA which is negatively charged. Now as soon as it is getting blue in color, now at the anionic eosin dye which is negatively charged, it comes and it binds to the thiazine molecule which is in turn bound to the DNA molecule. So this is somewhat like if this is your DNA, to your DNA thiazine is there, and to the thiazine you are having what? You are having eosin. So this complex or precipitate is formed resulting in the final coloration, which is purple in color. So this is the principal reaction when we talk about the Giemsa stain. And another important property is that it stains hydrophobic regions more clearly. Now, what are the hydrophobic regions present in your chromosome? As you all know, chromosome is what? It is your DNA structure only, right? Which is condensed, and we are using metaphase chromosome. Why? Because they are highly condensed and you can clearly see their shape, their size, and they are well separated. When we are talking about the hydrophobic region, it is a region where there is a presence of more disulfide linkages. Okay, so that's why it is known as hydrophobic region, and this dye has a greater tendency to stain these hydrophobic regions. Now, another important thing in the principle is that about this euchromatin and heterochromatin. Now your chromosome, it is having two distinct regions, that is euchromatin and heterochromatin. Euchromatin is a loosely packed region. So suppose if this is your chromosome, so if it is loosely packed, then it is known as euchromatin. If it is tightly coiled and packed, then it is known as heterochromatin. And the euchromatin region is said to be transcriptionally active. Means what? The genes whatever which are present in this euchromatin regions are there, they are actively participating in the synthesis of protein. Whereas when you talk about the heterochromatin region, it is a tightly packed region, the highly coiled region. So the genes are not active. The protein formation cannot take place from the highly coiled region. So that's what is known as heterochromatin. This heterochromatin is further divided into constitutive and facultative. Regions. So now in my upcoming videos, we will be using this constitutive as well as facultative term also. So with this, we have finished the principle behind the Giemsa staining. Based upon this same principle, in my next video, we are going to learn about a different type of Giemsa staining methods. Other than that, what other dyes are available which can be used for the chromosome banding analysis. So that's all for today's video. Please do watch my channel, like it, subscribe it and share it as much as possible. Thank you very much.